Hello Horror Hounds. I got asked recently if I was planning on reviewing any more episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, and I had a little look, and the last episode I reviewed, Season 2, Episode 6, was a smidge over a year ago, so I think it's fair to say I've been a little lax, so it's time to get back on that horse, ride back into Springwood and check out the next episode of Freddy's Nightmares a little later than I had originally anticipated. Season 2, Episode 7, Silence is Golden.
I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
I can see why it's been a year. Season 2 has lost focus. I think the show has kind of moved away from what it was, or maybe what it started out being, and I can only imagine that it's the format that has hampered it. A strange format, to be sure, an A story and a B story over 45 minutes, and a sort of secondary character from the A story moves into the focus of the B story. So week in, week out, for however many episodes, 22, you've got to come up with 44 stories, and all of them somehow have got to revolve around dreams. And what we're devolving into now is just dream sequences being used as fake outs. Oh no, I can't believe this is happening. It's a dream. Oh my God, thank God it was just a dream. And these fake outs are getting kind of lazy. There's no Nightmare on Elm Street feel to it. There's nothing particularly unique about these stories that make them a Nightmare on Elm Street TV series anymore. We're moving away from the teens now. I don't think we focused on teens for quite a while, and we're looking at sort of like women and men in, let's be generous, late 20s if not early 30s, and the shitty jobs that they have and the problems that they have with the real world, really. Relationship problems, job problems, money problems. And there's so much juice in the idea of a Springwood infected by the wrongness of Freddy. And there's so much juice in the struggles and trials and tribulations of teenagers that you really could have afforded to focus on. Look, if I was rebooting Freddy's Nightmares now, number one, Robert Englund would stay as the host. Having Freddy as the host is the saving grace of this TV series. Number two, I've been watching a lot of Tales from the Crypt recently, and recently Ash vs Evil Dead proved that this is still a viable format. 30-minute episodes, one story, 30 minutes of an episode, and really drill down into one issue, one theme, one kid's story. And sometimes, as with the original Freddy's Nightmares series, they can be Freddy heavy, sometimes Freddy light. That's absolutely fine. But Silence is Golden. Right. What's it all about? Okay, the A story concerns a disc jockey, a shock jock, who the brass have decided that a nasty persona gets better ratings, so on the radio he's nasty and in real life he's nice, and then his nasty persona starts to spill over into his real life persona and starts mucking his life up a bit. He gets a little hot under the collar at one point and punches a mime. Who hasn't wanted to do that, honestly? And then the mime starts haunting him, sort of bugging him, stalking him, haunting his dreams. As with a lot of these episodes, you can't really tell whether these things are actually happening or whether they're in his head. There are a lot of fake out dreams, and even though I just watched it, it's fuzzing away, to be perfectly honest. The nice thing about this portion of the episode is that the disc jockey, Rick Rake, is played by Jeff Yeager. Now, Jeff Yeager is the older brother of Kevin Yeager, who is a very famous FX makeup artist, and he did Freddy's makeup for Nightmare 2. I think he's done more than one Nightmare movie. Anyway, his Freddy look for Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, is the best that Freddy's ever looked. For me, the scariest Freddy's ever looked. Jeff Yeager it was a kind of who's that face moment. He was Kyle in the original 80s V TV miniseries, which also starred Robert Englund as Willie, the nice alien, if you remember that. So there's a nice little keeping it in the family vibe to the segment, which kind of falls flat. It kind of doesn't work. And he gets a sort of ironic comeuppance, which is kind of played for laughs, which is weird because a few minutes earlier his wife has died, and then because the story needs to wrap up in such a short period of time, he then goes back to his job and doesn't really seem to be affected by that at all. Look, it just doesn't work. It's nice to see Jeff Yeager on the screen. The B story then follows the mime from the A story, and you find out that mime artist is just his day job, and by night he's of course a cat burglar, because the art of mime and burgling it's a transferable skill set. I suppose you have to be quiet in both. So that's as much thought as has gone behind that. He's in a relationship with a woman who gives him a scoop on a good house to rob, and he goes there and he robs it. He's the daisy burglar. As a mime, he keeps a yellow daisy in his buttonhole, and he also offers out yellow daisies. So naturally, when he's committing crimes, he also leaves a yellow daisy at the scene, because what better way to be convicted of all your crimes when you're caught for just one of them than leaving a signature piece connecting you to a string of unsolved burglaries that you can also be sent down for. Anyway, the daisy burglar, he goes and burgles some people, and then finds out later that the daisy burglar is wanted for murder because those people were shot to death and he didn't do it, and someone's framing him. It really is a sort of blackmail, double-cross, double indemnity type episode with a couple of twists that has absolutely nothing to do with Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy, Springwood, or anything like that. There are a couple of dream sequences put in just as sort of weird fake-outs, as I mentioned earlier, just to have some tenuous connection with the Nightmare on Elm Street brand. It's such a shame. Look, as much as I'm not enjoying these later episodes, I'd still buy a decent, even a DVD release of these movies, because Freddy, it's worth it for Freddy. And I would even say, as dull as this episode was in one of his interstitial segments as the host, it's even worth it just to see Freddy doing some mime. And miming Freddy and Jeff Yeager are, I would say, the only two things that would recommend an otherwise entirely forgettable episode. And I will do my Scout's honour that I will try and review these more regularly.